You can climb any mountain if you take it one step at a time. If we focus on the top of the hill, you lose the current step. So it's just so demotivating to say, oh, there is 200 more meters, 300 more meters when you're suffering, right? It doesn't work. So just focus on the current step, the present step, next step, next step, next step. Just focus on that. And I keep reminding myself, if you just focus on this step and this step and this, the end of this top of the mountain will come. It's not like it's not going to come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Yeah.
By you thinking about the top of the mountain, it's not going to come any sooner.
Yes.
The fastest way to stop exercising is to actually do too much too soon. What I mean by that is, don't sacrifice everything else in life to do it too much, and then you'll have to, okay, I really cannot do this, and you step back completely. So take a balanced approach. One, your athletic activity compared to everything else in life. Plus, the second is pushing yourself into speed or whatever without first, stabilizing. Maybe you get injured and all that. So doing too much too soon is absolutely the wrong thing. Take it easy, take it over time. Simple goals.
I am Baiki Venki, and this is the Working Athlete Podcast. Here, I talk to working athletes from all walks of life and experts from various sports to provide you with inspiration, training tips, time management, and lifestyle advice. If this is something that interests you, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any future episodes. Today's guest, Jayanti Sampath Kumar, is a runner, a cyclist, and a classical singer from Hyderabad. A mom of two teenagers, she works at a major IT firm in a managerial position and continues to pursue running and cycling to keep fit. She runs marathons in sari, spreading awareness about the traditional attire and supporting handloom weavers. In this episode, we talked about her endurance journey, her running in sari and sandals, cycling as a family and how it helped her running, and how both running and cycling have helped her in other areas of life, including work. Now, let us get into my chat with Jayanti. Welcome to the Working Athlete Podcast, Jayanti. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Venki. Very nice to be on the show. It's my pleasure.
Right. Jayanti, let's start by talking a little bit about what is work for you now.
Where do I work?
Yeah, what is work? Maybe where or whatever. Yeah.
Okay, what do I do for
Yeah.
work? Yeah. So right now I work at Google. I work in product area called Google Cloud Platform, and I lead the team in India working on data analytics in Google Cloud Platform. So I'm what is called as an engineering manager, and I have a team of about 50 people working on multiple products in Google Cloud Platform.
Great. So I can imagine it's pretty hectic day
Yes.
with a role like that, right?
Yeah.
So we'll get into how you manage all that. But let us take a step back and talk about, how did your endurance journey begin? Like, were you active as a kid with sports and stuff?
No, not at all. I mean, I grew up not being actively a sports person, but definitely would participate in any school sports events.
Right.
Not like an athlete, top athlete, anything like that. But yeah, I like participating whenever there was opportunities. But yeah,
Okay.
mostly liked running. Yeah. And that was as a kid. Then when I was doing my undergrad in BHU, IIT BHU, for some reason I'd put on a lot of weight. So then I started running
Okay.
on and off to reduce weight actually. So really enjoyed the running. In those days, it might have not been much. I was probably just running 2 kilometers a day. Right? But that really helped me. And I realized, I really like running.
Okay.
So yeah, on and off, done it. And
So undergrad is when you kind of started running to maintain weight or reduce a bit
yes.
of weight. But when did it become a little bit more serious, looking at events and all that?
Yeah. So we moved to Hyderabad in 2005,
Hmm.
and I was working in Microsoft at that time.
Hmm.
And there was this whole energy around Hyderabad 10K run.
Okay.
A lot of positive energy around it. There's a community around it. So participated in it a couple of times because it was fun participating with a group, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I could not run too much. I did try training, and then we used to have knee pains.
Yeah.
So definitely, goal was just participation. Was not in like really having a goal or anything. It's just participation and feeling
Yeah.
good about it, and train a little bit so that you can run. But couldn't do too much. Like had used to have knee pains, and maybe it's just the way I was running. Maybe I was just not training enough. So that was the case till 2015, in
Okay.
fact. So for about maybe 6-7 years, on and off, trying some 10K run here, maybe 5K run here, and yeah, pretty much that. In 2015 end, I went for my high school reunion, and one of my classmates, you probably know by his name is Magender. He used to ride in Bangalore long time back. So he challenged me and challenged all of us, saying, "Okay, let's commit to doing so many kilometers of cycling and all that." So a little bit more history. So
Yeah.
when I was doing my master's in the US in Ohio State University, I took to cycling. There also I tried a bit running, but again with knee pain and all that.
Yeah.
So I started cycling. So even as a master's student on some master's graduate stipend,
Yeah.
actually bought myself a brand new bicycle. But
Right.
this was not road bicycle. This was like one of MTB
Hybrid
bicycles.
MTB. Okay.
Yeah, MTB without any of those
Suspension.
suspension. It's just a MTB. I don't know if it's. I think it's an aluminum bicycle. It's not a
Yeah.
steel bicycle.
The hardtail aluminum
Yes.
MTB.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have it. I mean, it's a 25 plus year old bicycle. I still have it. I really
Wow.
cherish that bicycle. So ride it on and off. The Bike Affair has done a very good job of maintaining it since I started regularly riding it. So
Right.
25-year-old bicycle. So yeah, so I was doing a lot of cycling when I was in Ohio State. Did a lot actually. Now that I go back and think about it, I almost used to ride about in those days. I mean, now it feels like it's not much. In those days, it feels like a lot, maybe like 20 miles every day, 4 or 5 times. Like so, it felt like a lot actually. In those days, I felt like a lot. Now,
Right. Yeah.
20 miles is nothing,
No.
given how amount of riding I've done recently. But
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
so that was the history, and then we moved to Seattle. And the thing where I was doing my master's in Ohio State, Columbus, Ohio, there was this river next to which there was a MTB trail or just a bike trail, so you could ride. And then we moved to Seattle, and Seattle is all ups and downs. And I
Right.
think I just didn't have the energy and the courage to go try these hill climbs and all that. So it didn't happen much. And then also I had kids and all that, so it had
Okay.
pretty much stopped. Then in 2015, Magender challenged me and quite a few of us and said, let's commit to cycling. So 2015 end, I had started wanting to get back to riding. Because I think the motivation was my son,
Right.
Anirudh. We found that he really likes cycling. And so he started riding. My husband started riding. I said, okay, let me also do it. I used to ride a lot before. So picked up a specialized Vita from the Bike Affair. So that's how I started.
Right.
And I just needed that push, I guess. So when
Yeah.
Magender challenged me and said, okay, how many miles can you do this year?
right.
2016, this year, how many miles can you do? So I'd signed up for, I don't remember, maybe 1,000 kilometers or something like that.
Yeah.
Of riding, and so got pretty regular into riding.
Right.
I still had this desire to run because I mean I really like running, right? So desire to run, but of course couldn't run because of these knee pains. Then I noticed that all this riding provided the necessary cross training that I could start running again.
the muscles around the knee got stronger and all
Yes.
that. Okay. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I was pleasantly surprised that I could run and there was no knee pain.
Yeah.
Right? So then that's how it started in 2016. Ran a little, and I found myself pleasantly surprised. I did the club run in 2016, did the 10K, and then that was just still the beginning. And then later I found that I could run easily without knee pain.
Nice.
So signed up for half 2016 AHM. And that's pretty much the first half I have done in my
Yeah,
life.
before we go into your running journey, I'm a little toward leaning towards your cycling, so you can understand why.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But one thing that you mentioned, caught my attention is that your son became your inspiration for picking up the bike again. You used to run, you used to ride quite regularly when you were studying, but then your son became your inspiration.
Yeah, fast forward almost like 15, 20 years. Yeah.
Right. So, talking of Anirudh, he started cycling around that same time, right?
Yeah, he started a little bit more serious cycling. I think we had got a bicycle for him maybe a couple of years back. He was riding a little bit on and off. He just took to the bicycle. I mean, I remember him telling me, and I observed that the first day we brought on the bicycle, he just rode.
Yeah.
There was no need for trainer wheels, nothing. He just rode.
Yeah.
He just had it to be able to ride. So in 2015, I think there was some event. One of those, I think Dina Nath's event, I don't remember, one of those events. He participated and he did very well on a giant hybrid bike, actually. So we were very, so my husband was riding, he was riding. So
you taking up the cycling, it became like a family thing,
Yes.
something that you guys can do together as a
absolutely,
family.
yeah. So that was one of the main motivations for me to get back into cycling, yeah.
Awesome.
And it's worked out very well. I mean, we've gone on so many bicycle tours together: Sri
Right.
Lanka, Chikmagalur,
Yeah.
Horsley Hills, and all three of us have been riding. So,
Right.
Actually, thanks to the tours arranged by the Bike Affair, they were nice about
Yeah.
having my parents and my younger son come along in a car. So
Yeah.
it worked out very well.
Yeah, riding together, doing all those tours together, seeing different places, and it is like an active holiday, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, we've
so
had a lot of these
as a
activities.
family.
Correct.
It's not like, okay, I ride a bike and I am going on this tour, but my wife and kids are at
Yes.
home, or my husband and kids are not able to participate. It's not like that.
It's not like
All of you are riding together.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was amazing actually. I think 3 or 4 of those tours we went together and
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was a little bit hard also because Anirudh, to the Sri Lanka tour, for example, he was so fast. He was way ahead. We were lagging behind so much, but so it was.
Kids are fast.
Kids are fast and he likes cycling and so.
Nice.
But yeah, as a family we
what-
did, so it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Excellent. What is the most memorable tour that you guys did together?
Together, the Sri Lanka tour was really memorable. Yeah.
Nice.
And I made my younger son happy also because at the end of the tour, we went to Gale. That's where it's called. And we went whale watching. And my younger son, who's totally into animals, still remembers it. He says that was an awesome thing. But we were having fun riding. He also had fun watching whales. So that was good.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And this cycling, getting into cycling and riding regularly got your legs stronger
Yes.
and knees stronger, and you were able to get back into running again.
Correct.
And how did that grow over the years?
I mean, fun. I mean, really fantastic. I really loved the running. And like I was just mentioning before, 2016 AHM, I had signed up for a half marathon and ran my first marathon, half marathon. And at the end of the half marathon, I was such a high that I said, I'm signing up for full.
Right. Yeah.
So then I signed up for the full in Chennai. So my hometown, yes, that is where I'll do my first full marathon. So
Right.
yes, my first full marathon was in Chennai, 2016. I think something happened. They postponed. I think it was the floods, or I don't know whether it was Jayalalitha's death. I don't know which one it was. They postponed it to January.
Okay.
So it happened in 2017 January. That was my first full marathon.
Right. How did that go?
It was good.
First marathon is always, memorable and challenging at the same time.
Quite challenging actually. I think I had my travels, this, that, so maybe I did not prepare full well enough, but I was hoping I will, we are all very hopeful and optimistic.
Yeah.
I was hoping I will run in 5 hours. I ran in 5.5 hours.
Okay. Yeah, close enough.
Close enough. So, yeah, it was challenging because I was not used to the crowds actually. So I think AHM, what happened was I went to the restroom and started late. I said, it's the timing. Chip is going to tell me the timing. How does it matter when I start?
Okay.
So I've got into the habit of, going to the restroom, let everybody go. I will start late.
Okay.
And so there's hardly any crowd around you. And especially if you're not one of the faster runners, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Right. But Chennai Marathon, we were there. And then there was these 10K crowd which merged in. And AHM also, that tends to happen. But I don't know, for some reason, my first AHM, I didn't face that. So this Chennai 10K crowd merged in. So all the water stations were full.
Yeah.
And so it was an experience to be able to, and even though it was my first marathon, for some reason I thought, no, I should target for some timing. So I was doing all that. So not enjoying it because all these water stations, I'm stuck. I'm losing time. There was this person, K. Sundarajan. And he was the 5-hour pacer. I started with him. Started with him and was there with him till halfway point. After that, he went ahead. And finally finished in 5.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
He was the pacer for my first full marathon. I mean, like till halfway.
Right. Nice.
And incidentally, he was there when I was later in 2018 when I ran my Mumbai marathon in Sari. He was my pacer, who was a friend. He actually had some injuries, so he had to stop at 32. And I found K. So K helped. Kind of paced me for the last 8 kilometers. I was 7-8 kilometers. That was fun again.
Nice,
So good.
Nice. So running in the Sari, you just mentioned it very passingly, very casually. But what is this? When did this start, and why running in a Sari?
Yeah. So
It's a very unusual thing, right? That's why I'm asking.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it started because my husband challenged me saying I have too many saris.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of handlooms. As you can see, I'm wearing a handloom sari. This is called, it's a handloom pochampalli or ikat sari. It's called Teliaru Mall or something. So I buy this from this NGO called Abhihara Society. I mostly buy my handloom saris also from NGOs, either Dharam or Abhihara Society. Mostly support some NGOs, handloom weavers directly.
Right.
So I was totally into that and realized that, okay, I have too many saris. So then my husband was making fun. Anand was making fun. And then I said, okay, I accept your challenge. So in 2017, I said, I will wear all of them.
Right.
So, which means I decided and I changed it to wearing sari every day.
Nice.
I had to do that to wear all of them. So,
Obviously.
so
You have so many of them.
yeah. So I changed that, and then 2017 I wore sari every day to work, and so then it had become my brand pretty much. In the first few days, people will be like, "Okay, you're in a sari today. Okay, do you have some function going on at home?" And I was like, "Okay." Then after that, it became, "Okay, you're not in a sari today. What happened?"
Right.
So decided to do that. Then I saw an article about this Guinness World Record where somebody created a record by running in a business suit.
Huh.
Right? So half marathon, full marathon. There was some article, I think in the Hyderabad Runners group, somebody had forwarded saying, this business suit Guinness World Record was broken again.
Uh-huh.
And then that idea occurred to me saying, okay, if business suit is a formal dress in which you can do a Guinness World Record, sari is a formal dress. I can do a Guinness World Record. And why not? And went and searched.
Yeah.
Sure enough, Guinness World Records had a category for full marathon in a sari.
Wow.
Except the timing was you have to be under 5 hours.
Okay.
And I just finished my Chennai marathon 5.5 hours. Now getting from there to in August, in AHM was my target, and shaving off half an hour. And that too, you're trying out wearing a sari and all
running,
that.
yeah.
It seemed quite impossible, but I said, why not try? And that's how it all started. Yeah.
Okay. So did you manage to
Yes.
go down? Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, I mean, with the kind of training and support that I got, Vignan was my trainer, and then I had Santosh who helped me with the yoga and stretching and all that. And they were the whole Hyderabad runners community and the Bike Fair Gokul and everybody were so supportive. I mean, they were just constantly boosting my confidence.
Right.
And so I think 2017 Airtel Hyderabad Marathon, I ran the full marathon in a sari under 5 hours, and I became the first person to run a full marathon in a sari. Yes.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So now you are a Guinness record holder.
I was actually.
Okay.
Kranti Salvi from Mumbai broke my record. She ran in Berlin Marathon. She's a very fast runner. I'm just a beginner runner. Okay? She's a super fast runner. She ran Berlin Marathon in under 4 hours, and she broke my record.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, records are meant to be broken. That's how it works, right? So
that's right.
That's good. But you set that record once.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
I'm very happy to see that there are many more women now running in sari. And there's recently I talked to one lady, Anusuya Ashok. She's based out of Bangalore actually, and she ran the Sriram Properties Marathon in sari in 4 hours 16 minutes.
Nice.
So she's hoping to get better and get it under 4 hours. So I talked to her, did my best to give some tips and all that. Yeah, I'm really happy to see more women taking this up. More than anything else, it's not just about the exercise, right?
Yeah.
Like my original goal was support sari, support handloom.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody can run in a sari, obviously you're going to wear more sari. Hopefully you'll buy more handlooms. You'll actually support these handloom weavers, right?
Yeah.
That's the main motivation in terms of, women who are hesitant, who only wear sari, who are hesitant about taking on an active lifestyle, will be encouraged. I mean, even if they want to somehow try running in a sari, they can, or they want to run in a pajama, for salwar kurta, they can, right?
Yeah.
If somebody can run in a sari, nobody can laugh at them for running in a salwar kurta. Whatever they feel comfortable. Again, they shouldn't get injured. They shouldn't end up getting, these rashes, right? All those. They have to take care of their health. But at least there shouldn't be hesitation, right? You have to explore, try, make sure you're not getting injured, but don't hesitate, right? At least that hesitation these women can come out of. And happy to see many more women running in sari. There's a lady Pooja Jain in Calcutta who actually, I think she did the Kolkata Marathon in a sari. I saw one, it keeps coming every now and then. Some person here, some person there. So very happy to see the trend. I hope more women will start wearing saris also on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? See, a lot of hesitation is there around a traditional attire like sari because of the difficulty, the perceived difficulty of carrying it off on a daily basis, right? But when someone like you or many others now show that you can not only wear sari regularly, but you can also do something like a marathon or running a marathon in a sari. This is not something, you don't need to run a marathon in a sari, but you can wear it on a regular basis.
Correct.
That's the message, that becomes loud and clear, right?
Yes.
That's really good.
Yeah. And I do hope that in the process, we end up supporting all these handloom weavers. I mean, India has a rich and amazing tradition of handlooms and saris that they create in beautiful designs. I do hope we end up supporting all of them.
Yeah. So for the podcast listeners who are not able to, watch the video on YouTube, Jayanti is right now wearing a nice handloom
Yes.
sari, a beautiful sari. So,
It's
you know,
called it's a ikat sari called Telia Rumal.
Hmm.
I got it from this NGO called the Abhihara Society.
nice, great. So you, from then on, you have been running the marathons in the events, timed events on
Yeah,
sari.
all public timed events I run in sari. Yes.
Okay,
Because I feel like it definitely does continue to motivate
that's
people.
okay. That's okay.
So I've made it a habit. Yeah.
Excellent. So, what do you consider yourself, a runner or a cyclist more?
It's actually both. It's
I like to, put people who run and cycle in a spot by asking this question.
yeah. Do I consider myself a runner or a cyclist? Right. I actually like both, to be honest with you. I'm very, very basic in swimming. I hope one day I can actually do a triathlon, but I'm super basic in swimming. I don't know how to breathe while I swim. So I hope that one day I can actually learn that properly, enjoy it, and someday do a triathlon.
Right.
But very far from that. I've done couple of times the Hyderabad Triathlon Duathlons, and I really enjoyed it.
Right.
So, yeah, both. Only thing I would say is when I have very little time, the obvious choice is running.
Right.
And
Because it doesn't take that long.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I can do just like 5K, like go a little bit, run and come, it feels like, okay, I did something.
Yeah.
Right? It's very hard for me to get ready and go and do like a half an hour ride. You get ready and all that, and like, okay, what half an hour ride?
Because cycling involves a lot more gear, right?
Yeah.
You have to put on your helmet, you have to put on your kit, you have to put on your cycling shoe, you have to put on your helmet,
Correct.
glove. All that will take like half an hour or something, and you can't just go and do a half an hour ride. It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it's enough.
Yeah.
But you can just put on a pair of shoes and just go out for a run, and 5K also is feels like something.
Exactly.
So
that's
yeah.
the whole thing. And of course, I like knowing my running thing, right? I don't care about which specific perfect running gear I'm wearing, right? Whatever. I also sometimes run in sandals called Luna sandals. So if I'm super lazy that I don't even want to put my socks on, I'll just put the Luna sandals and go do a little run and come. So it's very convenient.
Yeah.
Even if you have very little time to go do. So I end up finding it more easier to just do. But definitely love cycling, and especially the cycling tours. The fact that you can go place to place and really enjoy seeing a country or a city or whatever truly for what it is, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
just super amazing, and bonding with family while doing that.
Yeah.
I've even done one tour which I did not do with family. It was one of my hardest tours. We went from, I mean, with the bike affair one only, but we went from Hyderabad to Horsley Hills.
Ah.
And thanks to the encouragement of Sampath from Bike Affair, I climbed the Sri Sailam Hills non-stop. It was good. So,
Wow.
it is a pretty steep climb, actually, Sri Sailam. So
It is. Okay.
so yeah, really enjoyed that. I mean, pushing myself. Yeah, so really enjoy cycling as well. It's just that you have to have the time for it.
Correct. But coming back to running, I just caught on something like running in sandals, right? You also did run a marathon in sandals.
Yes,
I
my
think.
first marathon, AHM, the one in which I ran in sari, was in sandals.
Okay.
So few months preceding my first sari marathon, I was actually struggling with shoes. Some work, some doesn't. I would have gone through like 3-4 shoes. Will wear it for like 50 kilometers and said this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, kept trying different shoes, and then Vignan suggested, why don't you try sandals? Another friend also suggested. So so got these Luna sandals, and they worked out well for me.
Yeah.
So I was able to run AHM in those sandals.
Okay. And what is it that what is the difference that you find running in sandals versus running in shoes? Just briefly.
Yeah, so the shoes tend to be more cushiony and they kind of push you higher, right? So I found that my cadence is much higher in sandals
Oh.
because you're closer to the ground, tap 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 tap, tap, like that. You run, so you don't go high too much. My cadence is much higher when I run in sandals
Okay.
as opposed to in shoes.
Right.
That's one of the things, and with shoes, my experience was initially I was getting some IT band pain. That didn't happen with
Okay.
Luna sandals. That's one of the main reasons why I switched to Luna. That's
All right.
those sandals. So those were the big differences. And my fastest run actually was this stadium run in Hyderabad. I think it was May 2018, if I remember right. It was this 12-hour run where each person had to run for 2 hours. I was part of this team. And I was amazed. I mean, I'm not a very fast runner, but I could run 22 kilometers in 2 hours, which is like half marathon in
Plus something. Yeah.
yeah, half marathon under 2 hours in a stadium run. I actually ran barefoot.
Oh.
I went with sandals and shoes, and I was thinking, what should I do? Just before starting the run, I felt like, no, I feel like I want to run this barefoot.
Okay.
So it was a stadium run, so it's soft cushions. So
Right.
I just ran barefoot, and that has been my best run. I'm not a courageous person to run barefoot on the roads because I do feel like I'll get hurt, and I've tried, and it just too pokey, the stones
right.
and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
Luna sandals works.
Yeah.
But in a stadium run, when the floor is controlled, and I feel that if you had in such an environment, barefoot is the best.
Okay. Yeah, but lunar sandals is like closest you can get to barefoot.
At least
yeah.
what I found. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are other options,
Right.
but I found it comfortable.
One of the good options.
That's
yeah.
right, that's
right. So when it now you run in both shoes and sandals and
Yes,
all
yes,
that.
I can
Yeah,
run
that's
in both,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's not too fussy about it.
Yeah, whatever I feel like on the day. Mostly, I'm end up running in shoes because I'm just
Yeah.
it's become a habit.
Right.
But yes, I just pick up, and also it's slightly faster in shoes compared to Luna sandals. So
So how do you think, or do you think that running or cycling had a positive or any impact, positive or negative, on your work?
yeah, so definitely it has a positive impact, right? One of the biggest things is. Of course, mine is a software job, it's a sedentary job, you're sitting all the time. So definitely it feels good to, go out there and stretch your legs, and run or cycle or whatever. The body, it just feels right. And it's a big de-stressing thing. You just sweat it out, and whatever work stress or anything just seems to disappear. So really like the sweating it out and just overcoming all these cluttered thoughts and any stress. So really helps with that. But there's another aspect to it. One of strength, emotional strength, right? When you actually overcome goals that you set, like and achieve your goals, whether it be your running or cycling or whatever the goals are. So it makes you mentally stronger, and it helps you overcome potentially challenging situations at work, because I think it just makes you a more confident person, and at the same time confident but comfortable and peaceful person,
Right.
that you can overcome any work challenges. Yeah, it helps you. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. So, what is your most memorable run?
My most memorable run was when I was a pacer, actually. Hyderabad runners were kind enough to give me the opportunity to be a pacer in 2018 Airtel Hyderabad Marathon. The previous year, 2017, I had run under 5 hours, the full marathon in a sari. So
Right.
2018 AHM, I was a full marathon, 5.5 hour pacer.
Hmm.
Um, and I ran again in full Madisar sari with Luna sandals and all that. Was carrying that board and running. It was amazing, memorable experience. I feel that more than running for yourself, encouraging others to run and just being there for others, encouraging them to run is probably more exciting
Yeah.
than running for yourself, pushing yourself and pushing for a goal.
Right.
This is just so much more enjoyable. You're running at a comfortable pace and you're encouraging people, taking them along. It just feels so rewarding.
Right.
Yeah.
That's brilliant, right? Running or doing something for yourself and trying to hit a time zone. Even as a pacer, you are targeting a time, a pace, a set pace, but you are doing it to help others, to help a bunch of people.
Yes.
Get to that time. That might be a personal best for many of them, right? So you are helping them with that, and that, I think that's why it becomes that much more satisfying.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. So what are the challenges that you see right now, if any, with trying to balance work and endurance journey?
Yeah. So since I took up this new job in January, right? With any new job comes a lot of learning and a lot of challenges. So right now I'm still in this boat of figuring out my right balance. I know it's been like 10 months, but I feel like I'm still learning a lot. I mean, I was in Microsoft for 21 plus years. So
Right.
this is a big shift.
Yeah.
So yeah, I joined Google in January and I've been figuring out my balance. And I do have late night calls till like 10:30 p.m., maybe thrice a week. And my younger son is in 12th standard. So morning, him getting to school is super important. So between sleeping a bit late and morning getting up and making sure he goes to school on time, it is getting very tight for me to do the morning workouts. So sometimes me and my husband take turns. One day he helps with my son's morning routine and I go running one day. So we're trying to take turns, but still it is quite challenging.
Yeah.
And I'm also consciously prioritizing just being there for my son because he's in 12th standard,
Yeah.
just being there for him
Yeah.
emotionally because
Yeah.
I want to be fully energetic emotionally to be there for him.
Right.
You do a very tired, hard workout and come, and you're not only physically drained, you're a little bit emotionally drained. You
Right.
can't just be there for somebody to
Yeah.
get their snack ready or whatever.
Yeah.
It's hard. So,
Yeah.
so I'm consciously prioritizing that as well. So that's the challenge. But anytime he doesn't have school that day or Saturday, Sundays, I'm making it a point to run.
Yeah, that's good, right? But since like you mentioned, we are start as when you start a new job, typically in an organization to kind of find your way and all set yourself up, the routine and everything. I think I read somewhere that it typically takes 1 to 2 years even. Right.
Okay.
So it is quite natural. 10 months is nothing. You're like still finding ground, trying to in a new organization. You are still trying to make a mark. You might have quite a bit of experience.
Yeah.
And it helps.
Yes.
But still you are
Absolutely.
trying to make your mark in the new place, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
And that kind of takes a lot of mental space,
Correct.
and emotional energy.
Correct.
So that is very understandable, and it is fine to kind of take time to, and there are other priorities at various stages of our
Yes.
life, right? Like kids education at key points, it becomes important for us to be present there, and
Yes.
you know it better than anyone. So that is quite fine to prioritize those things at certain points of time. But the great thing is you're still trying to find ways to keep active and get back into doing a few 5Ks or 10Ks here and there, and
Correct.
that is very nice. It's been a fantastic chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, to kind of conclude this session, what are some of the tips that you would give working athletes like you and me to do well at sport and work?
What I would say about the athletic part is I have a couple of quotes. I don't know where I picked it up from, but this is something I always remind myself about. The fastest way to stop exercising is to actually do too much too soon. What I mean by that is don't sacrifice everything else in life to do it too much, and then you'll have to, okay, I really cannot do this, and you step back completely. So take a balanced approach. One, your athletic activity compared to everything else in life. Plus, the second is pushing yourself into speed or whatever without first, stabilizing. Maybe you get injured and all that. So doing too much too soon is absolutely the wrong thing. Take it easy, take it over time. Simple goals. So right now my goal is I want to be able to run 20 kilometers every week. I'm slowly trying to bump it up to 25. So maybe somebody new starting may start with, okay, I will do 2K run 3 times a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Even that is something for somebody who's starting from zero.
Right.
So you set goals that are comfortable for you at your pace, and don't do too much too soon. It's not like you start running today and 2 weeks from now you can run a 10K. Definitely not possible, right?
Yeah.
So be realistic about it and don't do too much too soon. Take it easy so that you can avoid injury and also have a good balance with that activity and everything else in your life. Otherwise, you do too much of it, everything else suffers and you start hating this activity, which is not something we want to do. So
Right.
definitely that's one quote I would ask everybody to remember. Fastest way to stop is to do too much too soon.
Right.
The second thing second kind of quote that again I don't know whether I came up with it or picked it up from somewhere, is you can climb any mountain if you take it one step at a time. Right. So if there is this Microsoft hill, right? I think it's one of the steepest hills around here in Hyderabad. You've done it, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to non-stop run, I mean, I can't do it. Non-stop run from the bottom now. I used to be able to do it. Right now in my current fitness level, I can't do it. Non-stop run from bottom to top. It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
One step at a time. Maybe halfway you'll run, maybe. And then if we focus on the top of the hill, you lose the current step. So it's just so demotivating to say, oh, there is 200 more meters, 300 more meters when you're suffering, right? It doesn't work. So just focus on the current step, the present step, next step, next step, next step. Just focus on that. One thing I like to do when the running is a little tough, I count my steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. I count my steps. I don't listen to any music while running. I just like to listen to my thoughts or just observe my thoughts. Just be quiet. So one thing I really like to just focus is 1, 2, 1, 2, and just focus on that step, right? 1, 2, just count or whatever. So that really helps me push, and I keep reminding myself, if you just focus on this step and this step and this, the end of this top of the mountain will come. It's not like it's not going to come.
Yeah.
It will come.
Yeah.
By you thinking about the top of the mountain, it's not going to come any sooner.
Yes. This is really, really good. Staying in that moment is so very, very important.
Yeah.
You can't climb a mountain by in one step. It will take 1,000 steps, but it has to start with one step, and one step is the only thing that you can do at any given moment.
Yes.
You can't do 1,000 step in one moment, right?
Correct.
So you got to take it one step at a time and just keep at it.
Yeah.
Both are really, really great tips. Thank you for taking the time and sharing your journey with the Working Athlete podcast.
Thank you so much, Venki, for having me on your show. Really a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. That was my chat with Jayanti. Thank you for supporting this podcast. If you are enjoying these podcasts, you can support the podcast by subscribing to the YouTube channel. The channel is Bikey Venki on YouTube. That is Bikey, Bikeyvenky. It really helps me keep doing these podcasts. Of course, please subscribe to the Working Athlete podcast on your favorite podcasting app, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, etc. See you next week with another guest. And thank you for your support.